Welcome to episode 14, Mirrors of Strength. This episode is an invitation to really look at yourself, not through a harsh lens and not through rose-colored glasses either, but honestly, gently, and with the kind of courage it takes to simply say, I have been through things and I've carried things and I'm still here. Mirrors of Strength is about seeing yourself the way you truly are, not the version that you criticize in the morning, not the version that you compare to others, the real version, the one who kept going when things were hard, the one who found beauty even when things felt bleak, the one who showed up again and again as an artist and as a human being. So in this episode, we're going to look at the mirror as a metaphor for reflection, for recognition, and for truth. We're going to look at how we see ourselves and how others see us and the gap between those two views. We're going to explore what masking is and why so many of us do it. And we're going to practice the brave, quiet act of showing up as we actually are. So let's try to understand a little bit first about inner strength, because this episode leans heavily into inner strength. So your inner strength isn't something that's loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't look like someone who never cries or who never fails. Most of the time, inner strength looks like a quiet decision to try again, or it looks like honesty, or like choosing hope when doubt would be easier. So strength reveals itself in small, everyday moments, and it shows up in the form of things like endurance, staying with something even when you find it uncomfortable, or adaptability, where you find a new way when the old one stops working. It could also look like compassion for others, or more importantly, for yourself, or persistence, returning to your creative practice even after a long absence. It also looks like emotional honesty, and this is a tough one because it's difficult to be willing to feel what's actually there and to begin again, which is maybe one of the bravest things of all. So none of these things require perfection. All they require is presence. And if you're watching this, you're already showing up. So why the mirror metaphor? Well, our life tends to be like a mirror. It reflects who we are, not through how we look, but through how we've moved through the world. What have you chosen? What have you survived? Who have you become? Recognizing strength means being able to look at your reflection without minimizing yourself, without saying that what you've been through wasn't really hard and somebody else would have handled it no problem, or they would have done so much better than you. This is a hard thing to do for some of us, to be able to accept that we did our best and we did it in a graceful, capable way. The important thing was that you did it, and that's what matters. We often think of strength as being something physical, like endurance and toughness and pushing through. But for artists or for anyone who's navigating their inner life, seriously, strength is so much more layered than that. Your inner power includes emotional regulation, being able to feel deeply without being swept away by it, or mental flexibility, where you're holding space for more than one truth at a time. It can be spiritual grounding and having something that anchors you, and your self-awareness. Knowing what your patterns are, what your needs are, and what's going to drive you to the edge. The courage to feel and to not run from it, this is part of your inner strength. So this next part, I like to call it the gap in the mirror. And it's something that I think is really worth sitting with. That the way you see yourself is almost certainly not the way that others see you. And this isn't a small thing, because most of us carry this inner critic that's been with us our entire lives. That critic never fails to notice every flaw, every mistake, every stumble, every moment where we fell short. And over time, we start to believe that voice is the truth. But what if it's not? What if the version of you that others see, the one who creates, who shows up, who asks questions, who keeps on going, is closer to the truth than the one that your inner critic has been narrating? Studies in psychology consistently show that people judge themselves far more harshly than others judge them. We tend to remember our failures more vividly than our strengths. We focus on what felt awkward or incomplete. Meanwhile, other people are looking at us and what they remember is that we were there, that we tried, that we did something real. And it's not about ignoring areas where you want to grow. It's about recognizing that your inner narrative is not an unbiased reporter. It has a perspective, and that perspective often undersells you. So how can we close that gap? You don't have to take this on faith. You can begin by collecting evidence. Ask someone you trust what strengths that they see in you and really listen without deflecting. Or write down the last time someone thanked you and appreciated you for something that you did or said something positive. What was it that they noticed? And what did you notice about that interaction? Look at your creative work. What does it say about you? Your curiosity, your sensitivity, your way of seeing the world. I want you to pay attention to the gap between what you feel inside and what others experience in you. That gap is often where your underestimated strength lives. So I want you to stop minimizing or even normalizing what required great effort. We forget about how hard something was or how brave we were or how much we figured out something on our own. And these reflections interrupt that. To truly see yourself, I want you to try this. Look at your journey honestly, without softening it, without dismissing it. Just look at it honestly. Remove any judgment. Look at it like an outside observation, not just an evaluation. Replace any component of comparison with acknowledgement. Your path is your path, period. And it doesn't need to be compared to anybody else's. So this isn't ego, this is truth telling. This is one of the bravest things that you can do for yourself. So I think it's only natural that we go into the topic of masking, because masking is something that many of us do for a number of different reasons. So I'd like us to understand what these masks are that we wear and why we do it. So let's start with, for anyone who's not familiar with the term, what is masking? And that's when we hide parts of ourselves in order to feel safe or accepted or less vulnerable. It's something that most people do to some degree, and some people rely on it. They can't deal with the outside world without masking themselves. They feel so deeply that who they truly are would not be accepted that they put on a persona, they put on the mask, and they confront the world with a false version of themselves. So masking can look a number of different ways. It can be as simple as saying you're fine when you're not, acting confident when you absolutely don't feel like you are, downplaying your sensitivity or your emotional depth, or just hiding parts of your personal identity that you think would not be accepted in certain spaces. It can also be pretending that your work is meaningless to you, so that rejection will hurt less, or shrinking your creativity to make others feel more comfortable. Your creativity, who you are, your persona, everything about you is something to be proud of. It's part of the package deal, and you shouldn't have to hide that. If other people feel uncomfortable by your energy, that's their problem, not yours. So masking is not a weakness. It's something that we just do automatically. It's a smart adaptation, you might say, because at some point it kept you safe. The question is that mask still serving you? Or has it become a wall between you and your own strength? You've learned to protect yourself. You've learned to cover the tender parts. Put on a version of yourself that feels easier to present. We mask ourselves, especially as artists, when we feel uncertain or unsafe or insecure. And we tend to put forward a more polished, more contained version of ourselves. And sometimes that's okay, because sometimes We may not feel safe, and not every space is safe for your full self. Boundaries are healthy, but when masking becomes the default, when you can't tell where your mask ends and where you begin, it's worth pausing. Being brave with yourself doesn't mean that you have to broadcast your entire world to everyone. It means being honest with yourself first. It means noticing when you're performing versus when you are present. It means giving yourself permission to be more complicated, more tender, a more honest version of you, at least in your creative space and in your private reflection. Your art is probably where your mask comes off the most and where your true self can truly come through. And this is part of what makes creative expression so healing and so vulnerable. Creative expression has a way of bypassing your inner critic. When you're in the middle of making something, that part of you that edits and judges goes quiet. And what comes through instead is closer to the truth. Your art allows you to use symbolic recognition and express through form and color and texture, or just what your choice of image is. It allows you to access more emotional truth. Like, what do you feel without explanation or justification? And you can do a lot more layered reflection. So you can return to a piece and discover new things in it. I often will suggest to people to go back and find an old piece and see if there's some way to repurpose it or to give it a new life. Because maybe you've changed since then. Maybe you've had some growth, but you can still identify and recognize what it is that you put into a piece that you made in the past. But now you want to reflect how you've changed. So for today's art activity, I'd like you to try an integration exercise. And what that is you're going to create in any medium that you choose. And I want you to try and create something that responds to one of these questions. I want you to try and answer for yourself. What strength have I been carrying quietly that deserves to be seen? Or what does my creative voice reveal about who I actually am? And finally, what would I make if I created something without any mask at all? So what this is challenging is you're not making art for the consumer. You're not making art for sale. You're not making art for anybody else. You're strictly making art for you. And what do you really want to create? How can you truly be expressive and get that emotion out into your art? So as a final thought before we go to our meditation, I just want to share something that many people who participate in art therapy programs describe their creative practice as the one place they feel that they can truly and fully be themselves. The canvas, the journal, the song, these become containers for what can't be said anywhere else. If you felt that, you already know what it feels like to let the mask down. The goal is simply to expand that feeling. Let a little bit more of that honest self into your life, starting with how you see yourself when you look in the mirror. Choose one truth, one strength that you know is true about you, but that your inner voice often denies. And keep telling yourself every day, keep reinforcing that one truth and saying it to yourself, and change the way that you see yourself. And when you're confident in that one truth and you feel strong about that one truth, that your strength is there, like, yeah, okay, I believe this one about myself now. Tackle the next one. And some of them might be difficult, but this is where art plays a role. Because if you can't let that one out and unmask it in a general setting, in an everyday environment, if you can't feel safe letting that one loose, that's what your art's for. Take that time, take the mask off and put it in your art and let that truth be set free. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation today about the mirror and the mask, and that you'll take a different perspective when you create your art today. Let's go on to our meditation, and then I'm looking forward to hearing from Lucid, our featured artist today. For today's meditation, we'll be doing mirrors of strength. To begin, I'd like you to find a comfortable position, whether that be seated or lying down, however your body wants to be held right now. Let your hands rest somewhere easy on your thighs, your chest, your lap, wherever they land. If closing your eyes feels right, let them close. If you prefer to soften your gaze towards the floor, that's equally welcome. So let's take one slow breath through the nose. And release it gently and slowly through your mouth. I want to begin by asking you to set aside, just for now, the way you think you're supposed to look, the way you think you're supposed to feel, the version of yourself you present when you're not quite sure you're enough. Just for this time, there's no performance required. No one is watching you in a way that needs managing. You're here, that's all. You don't need to be anything other than what you actually are. Let your breath find its own pace. Easy, quiet, already doing what it knows how to do. I want you to imagine you're standing in a quiet room. It's simple, it's calm. The light is soft, the kind that comes through a window late in the afternoon, unhurried. There's a mirror in this room. But before you look at it, I want you to notice something. You've been carrying something with you in this space, a version of yourself you've been presenting to the world, an image you maintain, sometimes without even knowing it. The mask of being okay, or capable, or certain, or fine. This is not a judgment. Masks are practical things. They protect what is tender. They help you move through spaces that are not always safe. They have served a purpose. But right now, in this quiet room, you're allowed to set it down. Not forever, not as a permanent declaration, just for a few minutes. In this space, you can let it rest somewhere soft beside you. Feel the difference, even a little. The slight shift in how it feels to simply be here without performing anything. Now look up. There you are, in the mirror. Not the version you criticize, not the version you compare to others. Just you, as you actually are in this moment. Present, a little tired maybe, carrying things, but still here. Look at what's in that reflection. Really look. The person looking back at you has been through things, has navigated things that required serious effort, real courage, and real resourcefulness. Some of those things you've named and honored. Some you've glossed over as nothing special, as what anyone else would have done. Or perhaps you went further than that and told yourself you should have done it better. That it wasn't really good enough. Maybe you even took a moment of quiet pride, and almost before you could feel it, you twisted it into something to be ashamed of. That habit of turning your own strength against yourself, that's worth noticing. It's not the truth. These moments you've experienced weren't nothing. They were real, and they ask something real of you. Your inner critic is simply doing what it does, and it's not a final verdict. The person in the mirror is the evidence of this. Now I want you to imagine that someone who loves you genuinely, clearly, and without agenda comes to stand beside you, and they look at the same reflection you're looking at. What do they see? What does their face do? They're not looking at your failures or your gaps. They're not measuring what you should have done differently. They're looking at someone they recognize, someone they've watched carry things and show up, try, and begin again. Someone they respect, not in spite of the hard parts, but because of how you moved through them. That reflection is also true. That version is also real. And it's been real all along. Even in the moments you couldn't see it. Even in the moments you turned into something smaller. The inner critic doesn't get the final word here. Stay with the mirror a little longer. Let the two views exist at the same time. The one you usually see and the one that's actually there. You don't have to resolve the gap between them right now. You only have to notice that there is one. And that's the beginning of seeing clearly. And here's something worth holding. The fact that you're here, in this room, asking these questions of yourself, it is itself a form of strength. The willingness to look is courage, and not everyone chooses it. Let the light in the room shift slightly. Softer now, more gentle. Your reflection doesn't change, but the way you're looking at it does. A little more patience. A little more willingness to let what you actually see there be enough. Hope lives here, not in the version of yourself you're trying to become. In this one, the one that's already proven something again and again in ways that deserved pride and didn't always receive it. The proof doesn't disappear because it wasn't celebrated. It's still there. It's in the mirror right now. Stay here a moment with the mirror, with the quiet, with this particular honesty of being seen, even if only by yourself. As we begin to return, I'm going to offer a few words, and I just want you to receive them gently. You don't need to believe them completely right now. Just let them rest in you without forcing anything. I am not required to perform strength in order to have it. The strength I carry is real, whether or not it's visible. The way I see myself isn't the only truth. I've made myself smaller than I am. That habit isn't a verdict, and it's not who I have to be. What I've survived has shaped me. It hasn't diminished me. It's part of what I carry forward. I am allowed to be honest with myself about my difficulty and about my strength. Both are real and both are mine. I am enough, and I can look at myself clearly. The mirror is ready when I am. when you're ready, begin to return. Let your fingers move first, then your toes. Let your eyes open slowly without rushing. I want you to carry something from this room with you. The quiet of it, the particular quality of the light, the small, brave act of letting yourself be seen clearly, even for a moment. If any pride arose in you today, and you felt tempted to twist it into something smaller, let it stay as pride. It belongs to you. It always did. Thank you for being here, for your willingness to look deep into yourself, and for everything you've already carried that you haven't yet fully seen. Today's featured artist is Melina Jordan, known in the art world as Lucid Jordan, a visionary creator who bridges technology, storytelling, and the supernatural. With a background in IT and a degree focused on cybercrimes, Melina's path took a creative turn in 2020 when she published her first book, Tales of the Lucids: Stories Before the Awakening. What began as a dark paranormal fantasy series soon expanded into an entire universe, one she would later bring to life visually through AI. Since her first experiment with Night Cafe Studio in 2021, Melina has evolved into a global digital artist, using AI to craft stunning imagery, short films, and music that give form and emotion to her lucid universe. Through every creation, she continues to explore what it means to transform imagination into something truly alive.
Hello, my name is Melina Jordan, and I am the author of the Lucid Universe book series. I'm also an AI artist who's been seen through many countries, ranging from, of course, here in the US, all the way to Transylvania. When I was offered to curate mirrors, that one kind of hit hard for me. Every day, everybody looks into a mirror, and a lot of times they don't like what they see, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally. And it resonated with me, so I decided to curate that one. There's two pieces that I created. One is called The Broken Mirror's True Self, and the other one is What Could Have Been. In The Broken Mirror's True Self, you have a girl that broke a mirror. She hated everything that she saw. And her tears ended up forming this beautiful golden rose. It was a hidden beauty that she had. And what could have been, you see this woman, older woman, looking into a mirror, and she's wearing a wedding dress. And she mourns for what could have been. These two pieces represent what I've been through and what I still go through today. I don't like what I see in the mirror, and I do what I can to fix what I don't like. Not just the physical side, but always being tired, sad, mournful of what could have been, agitated. All of those feelings you can see in the mirror. Everybody can. Everybody can see their own emotions in the mirror. But with me, I do what I can to fix myself. And it's not easy. The only advice I can give you if you're suffering with a mirror, sometimes you have to look beyond what you see. You have to realize how good of a person you are. It's never easy, but it can be done. I hope that this curation helped you, and I hope that my artwork has helped you. And I hope one day you will look in the mirror and smile and finally realize the beauty you have within.
Let's create some art. So I'm in Wide Worlds, and our newest activity is available for Mirrors of Strength. So I'm going to go into that. So we have a couple of different styles today. The first one is masks, and the second one is fractured reflections. And you can see that I've played around a little bit to test it out to make sure everything was looking good. So this is masks, and the idea behind this one is that the vibrant light is the mask. It's what we put forward. It's the persona that we present to the world, where the black and white imagery in the background is more her reality and what she's hiding. So the fractured reflections is more of a double exposure kind of scene. It does have some glitch in the prompt. It doesn't always come through, but it is in there. So what you'll find with this one is the scene may be boxed into different segments, or it could be that the double exposures are just hidden within the scene. So here we have our subject. We have a bit of double exposure here with the flowers, but we also have part of a face here. We have part of a face in the background here, and part of a face over here as well. And you'll find that in some of the other ones as well. The idea in this one was sort of that it's her different selves. It's the fractured mirror, the different reflections, the memories, the different parts of herself. So here you can see like I've got a little bit of glitch that's just coming in because I really didn't put a lot of emphasis on the glitch, but I can sort of see a reflection here that's just sort of hovering to her side, and we have a slight amount of double exposure there. So here's one that was actually done right smack in the middle of the slider. So I got that double exposure, but I also have her here absolutely exhausted, but I've got these light leaks that are taking place, and we can see here that it's the same facial characteristics of the individual. So it sort of gives us a little bit of an insight about what she's thinking about, what is the exhaustion, and that's what the purpose of the double exposure is. So because I already ran a few, I'm just going to do a new prompt and we'll experiment with it just a little bit more. So I'm going to go with this prompt here. A woman smiling in the middle of the street. Her smile looks forced and her eyes look sad. On the surface she looks happy, but her eyes betray the truth. She's wearing jeans and a long white blouse with puffy sleeves, and she has long dark hair. So let's try it at the different positions on the slider. So our images have come back. The first one, I do have some of the mask effect here, but I do find the light is a little bit low. I'm actually going to rerun that one. My middle one, I have a lot more of the shattered reflections. We see the same face. We see different scenes. She's definitely not happy. This one went more glitch than really the light leaks. Not too bad. This one here, I think the composition is just horrible, so I'm not really happy with it at all. So I reran the mask, and this is a lot more like what I was looking for, where I can see that hint of a smile here, but the eyes don't exactly look happy. They look a little bit sad. They look a little bit angry. So we have a different look to that. I love that her hair is messy, so this one actually came out really well. I'm going to retry the fractured reflections and see if we get a better one. Yeah, this is a lot better. So it doesn't really have quite the look of an urban street, but I do have her in the different faces that are reflected here. So these little shattered reflections that are all over the place. The composition's a lot better. Overall, I'm much happier with this image here, and I can definitely work with this. So I didn't really get any of the glitch that came in. Instead, I got more of sort of the distressed photo sort of look that came in, but it is possible that you do get color that comes in. It just depends how it happens to generate it. If you're wanting to make sure you capture more of that color, you can always slide it down just a bit and not go right to the very end. And as you slide it towards the other end, it'll pick up the color from masking. And so here we have more of the urban setting that I originally wanted. I have my fractured reflections. She doesn't look like she's 100% okay. So I'm actually pretty pleased with this one as well. And we definitely have more of the urban setting and a little bit more color that came in. So I hope that you enjoy these styles today. I know they're a little bit more on the darker side, but today's theme does lean in a little bit more to that darkness, and it really pays some tribute to Lucid Jordan, who's more of a dark artist. So let's dive into Mid-Journey, and we'll take a look at a few styles that I curated for this week that I want to share with you. Some of them are lighter, some of them are a little bit darker, but you'll have a good selection to choose from. So before we close for today, I'd like to share this reflection with you. You're not searching for strength, you are remembering it. It was there when things were uncertain. It was there when you had to begin again. It was there in every piece you made, every moment you showed up, and every time you chose honesty over comfort. The mirror doesn't create what it reflects, it simply shows you what's already there. Be brave enough to look. Be honest enough to believe in what you see, and hold on to hope. Not because everything is easy, but because you have already proven to yourself that you can carry hard things. You are the evidence, and you always have been. Thanks for watching, and I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe and the notification bell so you're kept up to date with new releases. If you'd like to support art therapy and keep this content free, I'd greatly appreciate it. You can do that by joining me on Patreon, which will be linked in the comments below. Patreon members get access to additional resources, guides, ebooks, prompts, and even the opportunity to work with me one-on-one. Don't forget, we'll also have a free live session on Hey Peers every Friday. I'll put the link for that below as well. And you can join us there to talk about AI prompting or your traditional art, share your art, talk about how this journey is for you, and share your experience of healing through art. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.